Hello everybody and namaste. I'm so happy to be reporting from Rishab Rikhiram Sharma's studio, and there's so much to unpack in terms of his journey with playing the sitar, but I'm most excited to talk with you about Sitar for Mental Health, your initiative. We're coming up on the 4th year just in a couple weeks, so I'd love for you to share a little bit more about your journey to date as an artist playing the sitar. What made you pick it up? Did it run in your family? And why is it such an instrumental part of your life now?
Hello everyone, this is Rishab Rikhiram Sharma. I'm a sitarist, music producer and a composer. I started playing the sitar when I was 10. And how I got into it was through my guru, Pandit Ravi Shankar. My father used to make sitars for him and his family, and one day he saw one of my videos on YouTube, and then he called up my dad and he was ecstatic, and he was like, hey Sanjay, is this your son? I just saw someone called Rishab Rikhiram play the sitar and he's playing so well. And he said, yes Guruji, that's my child. And he has just started, and when he came to India, he said, whenever I come to India, bring him over and then I would love to listen to him. And we did so whenever he came back to India. I think he was in London at that time. And I just played a little bit for him, and there was a whole setup for a puja. It was always like a celebration at the Ravi Shankar Center in Delhi. And he heard me for a while and he turned to my parents and he said, this kid has a lot of potential. With your permission, I would love to be his guru and teach him. And I saw my parents' jaws just like drop to the floor, because like God himself has come down and asked him, ask your child and ask you that if he can be your child's guru. And obviously we were like so excited about that. And that's how my journey with sitar started, and I started taking sitar very seriously after that. Before that I was just like fiddling around and just playing around. So that's how I got into this instrument.
Right, amazing. So I always think it's so impressive from a young age to stick to an instrument, because when I think of some lessons growing up, like I remember going to my piano teacher growing up, and I'm not gonna lie, she fired me as a student. And I am a dancer now, and I understand that, when I became older and could appreciate the art, I got into it at a later age. But I'm so curious, what made you from a young age? Like I see some of your pictures when you're tiny. The sitar is bigger than you. It's huge. It's how, I know it's a while ago, not to age you. But what made you from a young age? Like, can you remember some of the thoughts you had even as a young student about what this instrument meant to you?
This was an understanding in the family that this is nothing that I'm gonna make a career out of. So it was just my dad was teaching me so I could make better instruments, because he's a luthier and an instrument maker himself. So he wanted me to learn the art of playing so I can be better at the art of making them. And once I started learning from Guruji and I started performing, and first I just like learned for it, I would say like 2 to 3 years I just learned, and I didn't perform anywhere. And once I started performing, I went for a few TV shows, and then I just got so much in demand. And also in the process you get a little bit disheartened how all these shows work and how scripts are. And most of these shows are scripted, as you must know. And I was left disheartened for like one of these shows that I went to in Bombay. And after that I was like, I don't want to do any of these shows, I just want to learn. So after that I went to my hole again, and I just learned. Guruji passed away, so I went to his senior disciples, and I just wanted to be the best at my craft. I just wanted to, no one should be able to lift a finger on my playing. That was my thing. And when I was confident again, Sitar for Mental Health was one of the reasons that I came out again, and I was like, this music is therapeutic and I want to share that with the world. So that was like part of my childhood, very core part of my childhood, that you start getting attention at a very young age.
Yes.
And as you said, the sitar was bigger than me, but I was very carefree. I didn't care, who was in the audience. I was just like still, rip it.
Yeah.
But after a while, I just got a little discouraged by the show business, and then went back to learning again.
Yeah.
And I'm so glad that happened, and that's why I'm here. Otherwise, it's so easy to reach the saturation point when you know only a little bit, and the world is vast.
Yeah.
So when you only know this much and you're trying to show something that is bigger than you, it's not sustainable.
Yep.
So I'm glad I made that move.
Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah.
Amazing. It's definitely, I'm sure, so many right decisions that were made, so many years ago that have gotten you to this point now. So you've been very open about your journey with mental health, which I really appreciate. I think it's something that obviously not many people talk about, and very interested to hear more about your approach to music therapy and mental health. Can you expand a little bit more on music and mental health and why that has led you to create something like Sitar for mental health?
I would say it started around the time I was applying for colleges, because I was really interested in psychology, and I was doing fairly well in psychology as well. So I always wanted to marry what the knowledge that I have of music and psychology. How can I, just merge it into something? Then I started doing research about music therapy in the US, and it was very Western classical centered. Yeah. There wasn't, so much study in the West about our Indian music.
Yeah.
And that's why I just dropped it, and I wanted to do something more academic. Then I was a finance bro for some time.
Yeah. Oh wow.
I was a finance major.
So you did college in New York, right?
I did. Yeah, I went to Queens College. Then
economics. Right,
economics. Yeah. No, I was a finance major first.
Oh wow.
And then I
Red
went,
flag.
I went crying to my counselor. I was like, I cannot do this any longer. I'm made for music.
Aspiring finance kids, listen to that.
Yes. And I was like,
I was also in I was in a CPA. I became a CPA.
Oh my
thankfully,
God.
those days are behind me.
Yeah.
But I get it. Yeah, and it's good that in college, I feel like playing the sitar and doing finance
doesn't go very well.
Work.
And I wasn't in the best mental health also. Yes. And I was literally had a breakdown in front of my counselor, and I was like, please do something, because music is calling me. I sit in these classes, but there's music going in my head.
Yeah.
I cannot do this any longer. So she came up with a solution. So the solution was, you just have to take 2 more classes, and then you qualify for an economics major.
Yeah.
And not to cut short the useful information I got about just business in general from finance, but it wasn't me though. I appreciate the knowledge, but so I took those 2 classes. It was statistics and econometrics, and I was just done with my major.
God, statistics? Never again.
I was done with the major. I was so happy.
Yeah.
Then it was 33 credits, and after that I took up music production as a minor.
Yeah.
And funnily enough is I had 33 credits in economics, but I had more than 40 credits in music production.
Wow.
Because I was just taking classes, working under my professor, recording jazz bands, orchestras, gamelan orchestras, wind quartets. Every day there was someone, and I literally had the keys to the whole building.
Wow.
So I had access to all the studios, all the equipment.
You're very invested, obviously.
I was having the time of my life. After I was done with that major, I was yes. Yeah. I can be myself.
So I'm learning for the first time that going full time with this was not the plan originally.
Nope.
Wow. Yeah. I would have never thought that. I would have thought, Guru Ravi Shankar descended upon your life, and everything was just meant to be after that. No. Wow, that's amazing.
And my Guruji also never saw me as he wasn't teaching me to be a performer.
Yeah.
He was just teaching me because he liked my playing. And and he also had an understanding that, and that's what me and my guru and my dad discussed, that Guruji, we want him to learn so he can make better instruments. So that's what the idea is. But one of my TV shows came, and my Guru Bhai, one of my senior Guru Bhais, who learned from Guruji for many years. So he was in San Diego at Guruji's house, and Guruji very excitedly was sitting outside of the lawn, and Guruji comes out, and he's like, just come in for a second. And then he takes him to the living room, and there was TV playing, and there was one of my ads playing on repeat.
Wow.
He's like, do you know him? That's my student. So he was really happy, towards the end of his life that, I was playing and performing, and he was, I would like to think that he's proud that I took this up. And often he would say that, Rishab, you are probably the last student that I'm gonna have. Wow. The youngest one. After Anushka, you're the only one who's gonna take this forward. So I want you to, take this up, do your riyaz, and you have to take forward my name and your family's name as well. So you have double weight on your shoulders. Exactly, that's what he said. And he's like, I don't know how much longer I'm gonna live, so just take everything from me. Just take everything from me, and as soon as you can, because I don't know what's gonna happen at any moment. So that was a lot of pressure, and I didn't understand it at that time. I was 12 years old. And I was like, okay, Guruji, cool. I was just it was a shoulder shrug that I'll do whatever it takes. But as I grow mature and older, I realized what the gravity of the situation is, and it comes with a lot of responsibility. So I have to present the music in the right manner, and say the right things, play the right things. Everything has to be proper when I attach his name to my name.
So that gives a lot more context into Sitar for mental health, I think, because it has guided so much of your own journey. Clearly music and the sitar was calling you the entire time. So what was it seemed like it was a pivotal moment when your grandfather passed. That you really recognized, I need to show this to the world as a tool to improve mental health.
So this Sitar for mental health actually started when my grandfather, he broke his hip, and he was bedridden for a very long time, and it was during COVID, and no one could see him at the hospital because how Delhi was. It was in Delhi. Peak COVID. So the only thing that was allowed was one person, and obviously phones. So my family back home used to FaceTime my nano, and I would just play for him his old song, 30s, 40s, 50s Bollywood songs. And Aawaz De Tu Kahan Hai, Bachpan Ke Din Yaad Rakhna. So I used to play those on the sitar, and while he was watching. So they used to give him AirPods so he could listen. And that was the idea behind mental health, because he was depressed. He was such an outgoing person, and he was just bedridden, unable to walk, get out of the bed. So that was his highlight of the day, that he would get to listen to music, and that he wasn't having access to. And even before he was healthy, he would come from Paschim Vihar to my house in Green Park, which is from West Delhi to South Delhi, just to listen to music. So he was such a buff for music that he would do anything. He would hop in a taxi just to play one song. He was like, can you play me that one song? So he didn't know how to access music. So he was such a force in my life, and I think I love music because of him. And when he passed away, I was completely utterly broken. I started doing a lot of service for senior citizens also here in the US. So a lot of Zoom concerts I started playing, because I used to see my grandfather in them. And that's how I soft launched Sitar for mental health. And it didn't hit me. His death didn't hit me for some time. But after 3-4 months, it started hitting me that Nanu's not there anymore. I cannot pick up the phone and just call them straight up.
Yes.
So I fell into depression.
Mm-hmm.
I was anyways going through a lot of anxiety because I didn't know what's going to happen with my career.
Of course, yeah.
There were no concerts, everything got cancelled. You know, I was doing pretty well. I performed at Howdy Modi for an audience of 65,000 people.
Yeah.
And after that, boom, like there's
And
nothing
you were full
happening.
time at this point.
I was doing my college. I was in
okay.
college. I was finishing my degree, but still I was performing. I was out there, you know. And then I stopped playing. I won't leave my room. I was just locked in my room. I would eat in my room, just keep watching like dumb stuff on the internet. And after that, you know, there was this platform called Clubhouse that was really popular during COVID. So I would just like hop on there and just talk to strangers and about mental health and how I'm feeling. And
would it be mental health focused groups or?
No, it was just like random groups. I'm really thankful to Clubhouse that a lot of very nurturing friendships came out of that. And when I used to talk to people about my mental health, they're like, you know, you should definitely go for therapy. You know, I was like talking to this girl at that time, and I kind of owed it to her that she, you know, nudged me in the right direction, and she said, you know, you should see a therapist. It was like 2-3 of my friends, Clubhouse friends, like internet friends, who like guided me in the right direction, and then I started going for therapy and started feeling better. And then I went back to the sitar, and then I started hosting rooms where I would just like play my heart out. I would just come online and it was just like therapy for me. I'm really not good with words, as you can tell. I would just like share my music and just play my heart out, and I would see like 3 people coming in and out. I would also talk about mental health. So, you know, after every session I would get like these long DMs of people appreciating, you know, whatever I did, whatever I performed, whatever I talked about. A lot of people could relate because they also lost a loved one. Someone lost their fathers, mothers, brothers. So it was every day I would do this, and every day the audience would increase. So it was like 3 people, 4 people, 5 people, and it went up to a point where there were like 4,500 people listening to me at one point, and I was like, this has potential. You know, I unknowingly have just like garnered a community of people who love music, sitar, and they love talking about mental health.
All around the world.
It was all over the world.
Wow.
Mostly in India, because, you know, sitar is an instrument that people can connect with, and those people happen to be, you know, mostly Indians and South Asian people, you know, who have ties to the instrument. So I started calling these the Sitar for Mental Health sessions, Sitar for Mental Health room. That's what I used to call it. And then I moved to Instagram, and then kept doing the same thing, talking about mental health, sharing therapeutic music. And then I did more research about Rag Chikitsa, which means Raga therapy, which is a 1,000-year-old tradition that people have cured cancer using music. And I started reading more about that. Then I also did my groundwork, where I would do therapies with people, like one-on-one group therapies. We started with like really small concerts, and then we just had a structure of a concert that, you know, if people listen to Indian classical or Indian music in this fashion, it can be beneficial for your mental health. So obviously there's like scope for a lot of research, but, you know, that's what I've heard from people, that, you know, they feel much lighter, and their mental health, they just feel at peace. So I want to be that person that brings peace to people's life through music, and knock on wood, you know, Sitar for Mental has been, we've been at the White House. As I told you, you know, we've done multiple tours in India and US, UK. So I'm trying Olympics.
Amazing.
I'm trying to bring this worldwide. You know, I want everyone to just listen to the sitar once, and see, you know, how they feel. And so for some people it works, and for some people it might not. But like, might as well give it a shot, right?
Very cool. So at your concerts, are you performing solo? I sometimes see people are performing with you. What has Sitar for Mental Health looked like in the New York shows so far. What can people expect when they attend a Sitar for Mental Health show?
So what you can expect is a guided meditation with me. We do breath work. The meditation is solo, just me and my sitar, and everyone with their eyes closed, focusing on their breathing. After that, then we play a classical bit where it's just sitar and tabla. So I would collaborate with a tabla artist or a South Indian percussionist. And after that, then we have some community interaction. So like if you're at my show, I would ask you to ask your neighbor some deep and thoughtful questions, something like, what are you grateful for?
Wow.
What is one thing that you regret? So I usually have different prompts for my shows. So I would give you those prompts and you would interact with your neighbor. And what I've noticed is that, sometimes you can open up to a stranger much more than your own friend sometimes.
Oh, for sure.
And a lot of beautiful things have come out of it. People have gotten married because they met at my show.
No way.
It opens up such deep...
Yeah, ditch the bachelorette and bachelor. We need success. That's amazing. What a wholesome way.
So we were thinking we should actually operate as a matchmaking service also.
Absolutely. So there's still another option left. If you have not... other options are not working. Yeah.
Definitely. So, and the energy in the room is just different after that because everyone just feels like they're one.
Very cool.
They feel much more comfortable. Even their body language is so much more open. I see some people dancing. Some people are clapping more, just more appreciative. And then we move on to different applications how a sitar can be used and jazz, blues, hip hop. Then I play some of my own original music. If I have some new music, I will show my new music, which I do. I'm playing a couple of new songs at the New York show. So that's generally the flow of the event. And so far it's been good. We try to do some new things, even with the production. We had some candlelights last time. This one's at a sanctuary. So it's a beautiful space, newly renovated. It's fresh.
Yes.
And it smells great in there.
Amazing. It's also so important for this theme to be talked about more in the South Asian community. It's one thing to talk about mental health, but I love that you're being so completely candid about the fact that therapy helps. My therapist has given me advice that helps. Yeah. And not only is there a stigma in the South Asian community, there's a stigma with South Asian men seeking therapy. And I think this is such an important concept to spread. So I'm sure it hasn't been an easy journey getting to this point of being completely vulnerable, right? And just talking about your journey. And also having the pressure of, we see photos from your shows, there's a lot of people in the audience that are there enjoying. But of course, I'm sure that has its own pressure, but I'm interested a little bit more in what that has looked like in terms of what your goals have been each year as you put on your next iteration of Sitar for Mental Health.
Initially, when I started in India, my goal was even if one person from the audience goes home and Googles mental health, that's a win for me.
Yeah.
Because I was ignorant about it also. It took me a bunch of friends to show me this thing. Yeah. And I want to be that person in their life that, hey, Rishab put me on to mental health and therapy. Now that I see is when I give those prompts, I see uncles also sharing their heartfelt experiences, what do they regret, one thing that makes them happy.
That's amazing.
So it's sort of soft launching therapy.
That's huge. I'm trying to visualize uncles doing that.
Yeah, even this is your own parents. Imagine them going for therapy.
Absolutely.
They might need it or not, but it's just it's like a routine thing, routine check.
Absolutely.
Like how you
there's
go for an
annual.
annual.
There's so many habits and there's so many projections and just things that are behaviors that are carried on without examination.
Exactly.
Through whether it's therapy in an actual therapist setting, art therapy, music therapy, there's so much that we just package and just continue in our lives.
Yes.
Not examine. Yeah.
That's what we try to do as well, and the conversations that come out of it and are just beautiful. And at my shows, it's that sort of a show where you can bring your parents. If you have kids, you can bring your kids as well. So it's like a multi-generational show. Like people bring their whole families in, and often their families are sitting next to each other, and then they speak with their own family. You don't ask these questions to your parents. Like, what do you regret, ma?
Exactly. She'd be like,
you.
Yeah. No, literally, she's like,
my mom would
everything.
Say that.
No. She'd be like, I don't have time for these questions. Yeah.
Exactly. So, I mean, it's just about creating that space for mostly our South Asian community. And of course, like, it's like 50-50. I would say like 50% of the people at my shows are South Asians, 50% are non-South Asian. And it's also fun to see them mix up.
Yeah. And, definitely. It's always nice seeing that. So you are not only a performer, you also are passing this art onto other students. So tell me a little bit about that, how you balance performing all around the world, producing and creating your own music, teaching students, and trying to stay calm through it all.
It does get a little bit crazy. Also, my students start missing me too much, and they're like, please come back. And I'm like, just be patient, I'll be back soon. It does get a little hectic, but I try to sit with them on Zoom or whatever little time I get window between the tours, traveling. I try to do that. But a typical day in my life is I love to create. I've been making beats since I was in 8th grade. So I used to make like EDM, like a beachy, hardware type of music.
For sure.
And then as I matured, I went into like instrumental hip hop, underground music, and started producing. And I was really interested in, whenever I used to listen to a song, I was like, what's going in that background? What is that? And how are these songs made? What happens in the studio? Like, I used to ask all of these questions to my parents, and they had no answers. So I searched for answers myself, and then I sort of taught myself how to produce music. And now, like, every song that is released of mine is produced by me or co-produced by me. So I love creating, I love making music, I love teaching. I love my students to death. They are an extension of me, and you're gonna see some of them at the New York show as well. And aside from teaching, I'm also working on a singing album. Actually, I really want my voice, like my actual voice, to be out there.
Exclusive sneak peek on Dispatch. That's so awesome.
I'll play you some
Very
music.
Cool.
And
you're hearing it first. So
there's that exclusive. Yes. Yeah, Rhea got it out. Damn, I snitched on myself.
I didn't need to do anything. But so you are singing as well.
Yeah.
You've been singing this whole time as well.
So I was taught singing as a kid. Even when Guruji taught me, he barely picked up the sitar. Like, he would pick up the sitar to show me some technical things, but he would sing and I would play it on the sitar. So he was always like, sing it from the inside, because even when you were playing, I want you to sing from the inside so it sounds musical. It shouldn't sound like so mechanical.
Right.
So always sing from the inside. So I've always sung, but like I haven't put out like a song. So I really want to do that and show that side of my expression. So I'm pretty excited about that as well.
That's so awesome. I have seen some of your singing now that I'm recalling. It's been more related to the sitar music. Is this album that's coming out still in the classical realm, or? You don't have to say. Yeah, no, we don't have to say.
Not super classical. I'm fine talking about it. There's a Himachali folk song that I've sort of done my own interpretation. And there's some like Bollywood type songs.
Nice.
There's some taranas, which is like classical inspired, but like obviously produced in a more modern way. A little Rishab Rikhiram touch to it. So it's a mix of everything. It's a khichdi.
Yeah, khichdi.
Khichdi, yeah.
My life.
Yeah, it's a mixed veg. It's a
mixed
korma.
Oh, it's korma?
Yeah, it's a Navratan korma. Navratan korma, they put everything and they put sauce in it.
Yeah.
So
that's what this
Rishab
album
sauce.
is like.
Yeah, there's some Rishab sauce.
That should be the title of the album. I'm kidding. Yeah. Sitar for Mental Health and Navratan Korma coming out soon.
Yes.
Well, amazing. So now I would love to hear a little bit more about the partnerships you've had over this last few years.
Yeah.
I mean, they've been some big names, and not to just talk about big names in a way. It's not even about that. It's more talking about how it's caught the attention of so many industries. Like we're talking from the fashion industry, your work with Aldo, with banks, HSBC.
Yes.
Yeah, right. So like, tell me more about that. How has it been to be in all of these spaces and get the attention of so many different industries?
One thing that has been common throughout all of my collaborations was the understanding for mental health and acknowledging mental health. All of these brands that I've worked with have that side to them that they want to invest in mental health and the awareness, and in that ethos they want to do some more things, and that's how like HSBC came to us. Aldo came to us. So Aldo also cares about mental health a lot. I love the team, even the management. They're amazing people, so sweet. They know like what they're trying to do with the brand, and they're delivering on it. And Aldo has been growing every year. Same with HSBC. The team is so woke about mental health, and very considerate when they talk to you. Also, because they know I'm an artist.
You were also like traumatized from the finance industry earlier. So
yes.
I'm so happy that we have come like full circle.
And they got me at the end of the day.
At HSBC. Yeah, that's
shout out HSBC. We've been working with HSBC for the past 2 years, and then we're in talks again for doing another India tour. So it's a lovely team. They have some presence here also, and hopefully we can do something on this part of the world as well.
Cool.
Yeah. And then there's Spotify and
a bunch of others.
Yeah,
check out the website for more.
And also I have a new single coming out on the 20th. It's called Shankara. It's based in the name of a raga, which is by the same name. It's called Shankara as well. I just dedicated that to Mahadev. I'm a huge Shiva devotee. So that's coming out on the 20th, and I'm going to be playing that live at the show.
Wow. So it's coming out on platforms on the 20th?
Yes.
Okay, amazing. So
Spotify.
Ahead of the event, which people are obviously already going to be attending.
Yes.
So they'll listen to it and then be able to hear it live at the event.
That's the idea.
Amazing. So Shankara, tell me more about I'm really intrigued by your relationship with Shiva, because I've seen you sing about Shiva, the Om Namah Shivaya track. I remember seeing in the comments how there were so many non-Desis talking about how it gave them chills, how they were crying when they saw you sing it. And I think that is so amazing, where one, just goes to show the impact that music is having on people all around the world. But tell me a little bit more about that relationship you have with Shiva and how it kind of manifests in your work.
Shiva has come to my life in many different ways. Even my Guruji's name is Ravi Shankar. Right? Shankar means Shankar Bhagwan. And my mom is a huge devotee of Shiva, and she has a Guruji who's an avatar of Shiva. And I believe that Shiva has sort of got me through a lot of tough times in my life, and also saved my life. I was stuck in a house fire this one time. It's a story for another day, but one of the Shiva's murtis turned red here at the house, and my mom was like, what's happening? And then she, then I called my parents, and I got rescued out of the house. So I like to believe that Shiva saved my life, and I wouldn't have made it without his help. So there has been many instances. There's many of them. Like I can't even if I start, it's gonna be like 3 hours long.
Wow.
But Shiva has appeared in my life in many different ways. So I look at music as like sort of journaling your artistic journey, and time to time I release something dedicating to Shiva. So this is like one of those tracks.
Wow.
And there's like much more music coming up. I'll keep doing this till I die.
So for those who are not Hindu, tell us a little bit more about the god Shiva. What does he represent to you?
So Shiva is known as the destroyer. So we have the creator of the universe, the keeper of the universe, and the destroyer. So Brahma, Vishnu, and Mahadev. So a destroyer doesn't mean he destroys everything. He also destroys evil. So he protects you, from a lot of things. And for me, it was like a lot of negative thoughs that whenever I chanted the Tandavam that you were referring to, that gave me a lot of energy, and I actually put it on when I'm working out also, and it just gives me so much energy and so much testosterone.
Yeah.
And it's such a boost for me, and it has helped me through a lot of things. So Shiva, people look at Shiva like a negative side, but Shiva also destroys evil. So he protects you in many ways. So.
Very interesting. I am always so intrigued by the types of deities that stand out to people, because everybody has, those who are Hindus tend to have, I feel like, a relationship with a certain deity. Like I know my mom, Hanuman Chalisa, when she was like living in New Jersey by herself in her early 20s, she like lives by the Hanuman Chalisa. She really feels like every time she says it, it just gives her power. And she sends it to me every now and then. But I really do see power in that, and you even saw like before this interview and throughout, even all the time I'm saying Jai Mata Di or whatever, and it does do something mentally for me, for sure, to know that you have someone watching over you, or even when I leave the house. Just, every time we go on a trip, I don't know if it's the same thing, every time we leave the garage, it's everybody say Jai Mata. Even if we're like barely got in the car and everything is chaotic, we're all saying, so I think that's amazing that it's so important for music as I get older and, am just engaging more in music, whether it's through my dance, vocal lessons, is I'm really trying to value what I listen to. I think don't get me wrong, I do love rap and things like that, but there is a lot of it for sure that I think as I get older, I feel like one of those uncles that's like, what are the kids listening to these days? But I do think it does have, I think we do have a lot of times to make choices on what we listen to and what we put in our bodies, right? So, yeah. Definitely,
it's very personal, but the connection that you have. And you mentioned rap, and when I was producing Tandava, I was like, this is... If you look up the meaning, I was like, damn, this is bars.
Of what? The
Tandava. Like, if you look up the meaning, I was like, this is so cool. And also like the time signature and everything, the triplets, like the week.
This is 1,000 years ago.
And thousands of years ago. I don't even know when it was written. But there's like so much. I feel like, there should be a rapper. If no one does it, I'm going to do it myself.
Rebrand.
So guys, you guys should like take up these old hymns and just turn it into like actual rap songs. Like there's so much potential there, and I'm sure there's like a huge community that would appreciate it also. And that's what I try to do with Tandavam as well. Like there's a hard trap beat in the back, and I just like me going with the sounds of India on top of it, and I mean, I think it sounds pretty cool. And there's like a lot of scope there.
Agreed.
Thank you so much, guys, for listening to me talk. And I'm performing in New York City on the 22nd. Sitar for Mental Health Experience comes back for the 4th time to New York City. Thank you.
Namaste.
Namaste. Sat Sri Akal.